Welcome to Sustain This, a podcast where we discuss mindful consumption, personal style, and the quest for living a more intentional life. I'm Alyssa, a sustainable stylist.
And I'm Christina, a shopaholic turned minimalist-ish.
And I'm Signe, a color consultant and slow fashion style coach.
Together, we will unpack the nuances of what it really means to be a conscious consumer and find more joy in what we have right now. So grab your tea, your coffee, or whatever floats your boat and join us in the conversation. Let's go. Yay. Yay. Okay, welcome back, everybody. We've got a fun topic for you today, a little bit fashion and style inspired. We hear so much about wardrobe essentials on the internet, and we've talked about this before, about how wardrobe essentials are going to look completely different for everyone, and there is no, universal essential for everybody because all of our styles are very, very different. But we thought we would share some of ours today. What are our top three, each of our top three closet staples, and how to find that, that fail-safe in your closet. Because like we said, it's going to look totally different for everybody. And maybe by going through our own criteria and our experience, because there is a lot of trial and error involved. I don't think you hit it right away. There's a lot of that self-discovery and learning about your own style. But hopefully as we go through ours, that'll give you some insight on how to find your fail-safes if you haven't found them already. So I don't know. What would you say, Signe? I feel like... Wait, can I try naming yours? And then you tell me?
Yeah,
I think that'll be fun. Okay, hang on. And then I get to see
Yeah.
what... And then we should try Christina's too. Okay, Signe. Maybe this was ambitious. Denim? Like jeans?
Yes. Yeah. Definitely.
Like knitwear? Like like sweater knits? Knitwear? Is that true? Is that...
Yeah. Yeah.
And either sneakers. I feel like blazers for sure, Christina. And maybe sneaker? Is that your third? What would you say?
Yeah,
what would you say?
Oh my God. Did you read my list?
No, I didn't.
I listed it sweater, jeans, white sneaks. So completely
Amazing.
spot
There you go.
Yeah.
Bingo.
They're kind of, I feel like my constant staple obviously is a blazer. Any shape, size, must have. And I used to think that I was a jeans and a t-shirt gal, but lately my staple is a tank top, like a slim fitting tank top. And I think denim, yes, but lately it's more of a track pant. I'm into like a trackie or like a easy elasticated waist, wide leg pant of some kind.
Cool.
So I'm not really wearing a lot of jeans lately unless I'm like going out.
Right.
So that's my new staple.
Interesting.
So it's evolved a little bit.
I love that.
Interesting.
Or I might flip that with like a ballet flat. I've been wearing a flat in any kind of form almost constantly lately.
A flat as opposed to a sneaker?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about this evolution and like how these have become your new fail-safes?
I think I'm working from home quite a bit more. So I found I haven't been wearing like my trousers lately. And for my jeans, I'm starting to get how people say, I can't wear jeans at home. I'm working from home. I don't want to wear jeans at home. I get it. I'll still wear my blazers at home sometimes.
Interesting.
Not when I'm cooking or anything,
Yeah.
but when I just want to feel a little bit more put together. But lately, so I've just been wanting a more comfortable kind of, but still elevated pant or something to bring in that sporty word in my style. So my style words, I had a closet session with Alison Bornstein, and we kind of distilled and refined my 3 words. So I used to do the Tibby method, which is 3 words and a modifier. So my 3 words and modifier were classic, minimal, sporty with a modifier of edgy. And then Allison and I distilled it down to minimal, sporty, and sharp.
Ooh.
So I've really been leaning into that sporty element. And I think the kind of elasticated waistband track pants or like a more elevated sweat pant or like a nylon pant, even leggings have been my kind of sporty element. And I've been just playing around with contrast and the wrong shoe theory. So instead of immediately leaning into a sneaker, which is the obvious choice to go with like a track pant or a legging, I've been wearing a ballet flat or a loafer or something, some version of that, also because it's no longer snowing and now it's warm in Canada, so I can actually wear them. So I feel like sometimes, I don't know if my closet essentials are static. They definitely change, I think, based on season and mood for me. But I think the one constant, without a doubt, is the blazer. Yeah.
I like that. Blazer girly. Cool.
Yeah.
Signe,
How about you?
Oh yeah, I guess mine are denim, button-up shirt, and like an interesting, like a good shoe. Any shoe that's good, interesting. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Always gotta have the good shoe.
Good shoe. Like, can you...
Like, it's just interesting. So either something unexpected, if like in the context of the outfit, or just like an interesting shoe, like something with like a metallic loafer with like woven leather, or I don't know, like even like the other day I did like a couple lives this week, and like I made sure, even though I was sitting at my desk at home, I had like my little Miu Miu
cool
like
on.
with the bow, kitten heel, like a good shoe. Like it's just yeah. So it doesn't necessarily mean like a super fancy, but just something that feels good and is interesting. Signe,
It's hard to distill it down to 3, I feel.
Yeah. Hello.
It's always you.
I know. I don't understand.
This is great. I love it.
Anyway, because I was also thinking too, I'm like, well, right now, leather jacket is a staple of mine. I've been wearing a leather jacket every day. And so that's where I still think it's I'd almost want to like narrow it. I have like a capsule wardrobe of like 8 to 10 pieces that are pretty much 8 to 10 foundational, without fail, staples that I think I just buy in different iterations or in with different details and things like that to make it feel a little less basic. And that's how I kind of, going back to that style uniform, right? We did an episode, I think, in season 1 about the style uniform. I've also done a YouTube video on it, and I think we all have. But I think for me, the key to personal style is narrowing down your style uniform, and then the way to make it feel kind of less boring, and it's a version of outfit repeating for me, is to get different iterations of that formula and that uniform, and you kind of just rock it and modify it and make combinations and permutations from there so that way you maintain your core style and you maintain a signature style, but you can also evolve it and play with it from there too.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I think because my top 3 closet staples are sweater, jeans, and white sneakers, and I also feel like it's a great formula because it's when I'm feeling tired or down or I just need to get dressed quickly, that's what I will go for. If I'm working from home, that's what I'll throw on. If I'm working at my office and I don't have clients and I don't necessarily want to dress up too much, that's what I wear. But it's like you say, Christina, it's also something I can kind of alter, so I can switch up because it's a very casual outfit. It's, I don't want to say boring, but it's very simple, very plain and very simple. So I often feel like if I want to feel a little bit more put together, I need to add some contrast. So, and it can be just switching up one of these elements. So I think knowing if it's a three-piece formula that seems to work for you, then just becoming aware of that, and then becoming aware of which piece could you switch out potentially to change things up. I think that will make it so much easier for people to really maximize their wardrobes. And at least for me, like, I can switch up the sneakers to a pair of boots if I wanted to feel a bit more dressy, or I can switch up the jeans to a pair of white like tailored trousers to feel more dressy. Or I feel like that's where it's helpful to become aware of what your top staples are, because it kind of allows you to reflect on how you can create variation basically.
I think too, the staple, like I was reflecting on mine and I was actually like looking at, I was like, I probably haven't worn a button up for our podcast episodes in a long time. So I was thinking like, is a button up a fail-safe? And I think also these fail-safe items don't necessarily have to be the items that we are, you know, maybe wearing every single day. Like I see my essentials or these foolproof items as like when I, like to your point, Sina, when I'm in a pinch, when I don't know what to wear, when I just want to feel myself, then I'll put a button up. Like there have been countless times where I'm going to an event or something and I think of some like cool outfit that I want to wear and then I end up putting it on and I'm like, nope, this is not happening. I'm doing the button up, I'm doing with jeans, I'm doing a good shoe, or I'm doing a button up with like a different trouser, but there's always one of those. Either it's denim and like a funky blouse. And it also doesn't mean that you have to wear these essentials together. But yeah, so I just thought that was interesting. I think when you're thinking about your essentials, it doesn't necessarily mean your like the things that you wear on repeat. It could just mean like that thing that you reach for that you know you're gonna look good
long term.
You know?
Like in different situations.
Exactly.
That's how I feel about denim right now, I think.
Ah, okay.
I feel like it's obviously I have a big denim collection and I love to wear it. But it is kind of my fail-safe when I want to feel still cool, still sharp, have that little bit of edge. But then I pair it with like a nicer blouse or a nicer heel, nicer shoe, something like that. It's kind of that valve piece for me where it very much, depending on if I'm throwing on a pair of more sculptural denim, then I can maybe dress up a casual outfit. But then if I'm wearing a really, really pretty top or a more formal kind of sharp shoe or a heel, then I might wear a casual pair of denim to dress that down a little bit. So I think we can kind of get into that. So we have like you kind of have your base foundation of your favorites that you just couldn't imagine your closet without them. And then you have your pieces that kind of make outfits for you, or your outfit maker pieces, or your next tier in the closet pyramid, like what are those pieces for you that you reach for to dress up, dress down? Maybe you don't wear as often, but they're like, that's the piece that I also couldn't imagine living without, but I don't wear it as much.
I think for me, actually, that's blazers. I think I want to wear blazers more, and I want them to be part of my style uniform, which they are, but for very specific occasions where I feel like the sweater, sneaks, and jeans is like 75% of the time. Like it's without fail, like my go-to staples. And I feel like a blazer is something I throw on. Like let's say I switch up the sweater to a tank top and then a blazer instead if I have a client or I have a presentation or I'm going for lunch with a friend or something like that. I feel like blazers are definitely that for me. Blazers, and then I don't know, like button-up shirts have actually become more of a thing for me recently. And I think it's because I found those two amazing ones in Copenhagen. But they're very relaxed and oversized, so they feel like a good like throw on and go piece. But it's definitely something I will wear when I want to feel a little bit more dressy. It's not something I wear if I'm just lounging around at home. Yeah, so those slightly sharper classic pieces is something I wear when I want to dress up a little bit more. I feel like that's the next tier for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me, it's the more feminine pieces. Like I'm thinking of like my blouses with the detail or like a little bit of like frill or like a little bit of that drama. Because when we talked about my 3 words and using the word drama a little bit more, I think that's that and mini skirts. That's like little mini. That's definitely like a shoulder action. yeah, and like similar to your point, Sina, is like the when I want to feel a certain way, then that's when I'll bring those in. Christina, what are yours?
Yeah, I think the denim and maybe like a little heel. I'm super into the kitten heels right now. Must be comfortable, but must be cool and sharp or colorful. That's kind of how I bring in color, I think, and bring in different textures into my wardrobe. I've been experimenting a lot with like metallics and pointed toes, reds, silvers, that type of thing. And I think that dresses up outfits for me and makes me, because I think my style is pretty I'd say my style is pretty, like I tend to really like oversized fits, more loose, relaxed, and sometimes, especially if you start pairing all that together, it can lose the polish, and that's when you can start to feel a little bit sloppy. So when I bring in something a little bit more elevated, leaner, sharper, and formal, then it tilts that balance back, because I'm not afraid to wear oversized on oversized. I don't mind that, but there is something that I just need that little bit of something to bring in that polish, and I often will do that in the shoe. Like I realized lately that chunky shoes are just not for me. Like I tried to do the chunky loafer thing recently. I have a pair of chunky sneakers, and for me, I just think anything heavy on the bottom as a shoe, I just have a hard time balancing it out on top. Like I know they say if you're doing like a chunkier shoe, then wear like a slimmer pant or a slimmer skirt or blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, it doesn't.
But if you like more voluminous pants and skirts, then it's.
Yeah. Like I find I have a hard time feeling right in myself when I tilt the slimmer balance on top versus on the bottom. And I don't know. I think that's maybe because I feel like I have shorter legs, so I feel like anything super heavy on the bottom just really cuts me off and truncates me and makes me feel really sloppy and just stout, you know? So yeah, I like a nice elongating shoe to bring that back.
Yeah. I love how you can. I feel like that's a great. That can kind of bring us more into the discussion of how to find your staples. Because I feel like it's some great discoveries that you make there, you know, to figure out how you can elevate things and really make everything work more for you versus the other way around. I think it's always, and we've talked about that before, I think it always makes sense to start with what is already working for you. If you're trying to figure out your closet staples, you need to forget all about those like pre-made checklists. Of course, you can get inspired if you feel like if you follow either of us and you feel like, okay, I'm drawn to your style, or we already dress in a similar way, then yeah, of course you can relate to a person's way of dressing to a certain extent, but you always need to start with yourself, because it could look, if not completely, then maybe just a little bit different for you. And you need to know where to make those tweaks. You need to know I think you just need to know what works for you. That's the most important thing. Yeah. I think we talked about it in a previous episode as well, like the whole claiming a style without actually getting dressed, which is, of course, you can use it as inspiration to dress a certain way, but I think at the end of the day, it also has to feel natural for you to get up and get dressed in a specific way to really be something you can sustain in the long run.
I wonder if it's like, and I think everyone can have a different jumping off point too. Like Christina, yours was looking at the proportions of things and just being like, look, like this proportion just doesn't work on my body. But then Sina, your point was a little bit more like if I'm understanding correctly, like more about almost the vibe. Like what's, is it the drama? Is it the sporty? Is it the like what am I leaning into? So I think you can take a lot of reference points from your own closet and from the outfits that you wear,
to give yourself clues as to your without fails. But I think ultimately there's also got to be that gut reaction, right? Like you know, and I think you mentioned this. I don't know if we mentioned this in this episode or the last one. And I think it's a very big piece of personal style and finding your without fails and all that is the self-trust. Like,
yeah,
I find that's a muscle too. And I think a lot of us have so much doubt. Like, I think 50% of my virtual styling sessions are like, no, this does look good. Like, Kate, validation, check, we move on. Like, sometimes we just need to trust ourselves. If you are feeling good in something and it's looking great and you're loving it, then like, yes, like you're not the only person who thinks you look good here. Trust. Like, everyone loves you in this, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree on the self-trust. And I think, that is where, if you need some help hiring a stylist or just getting friend. I'm kind of like, because your friend is just going to be like, well, get your honest friend. If you have a friend that's like, that looks like shit, no, get your honest friend. But at the same time, if there's a discrepancy, like if you like something and they might not, then you win.
Yeah,
like, I think it has to be someone who can rise above it and look at style elements.
Yes.
Figure out how to use those.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, even when you work as a stylist, your own opinion is always going to shine through a little bit. I think it's hard not to, but it's easier to rise above it and be like, well, this is you.
Yeah.
And this is what you like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because even when working with clients, like we'll try something and then you can gauge that, right? It's like, okay, we tried that. It's fine. Things can be a flop. I can see that you're not feeling it. So don't cater to me. If you don't like it, then let's try out something else. And this is, I think, the other missing piece is that playtime and that permission to have a bad outfit, permission to wear a bad outfit, because there's going to be, it's kind of like thrifting. You're going to have to sift through a lot of junk, a lot of flops to find the one that feels good, especially if you're starting from scratch or you feel like you're starting from scratch or don't know exactly what it is you like. So I agree that self-trust and self-discovery. And here's my speech bubbles again. If you're watching on YouTube, there's little bubbles popping up on my screen.
Christina's friend, her AI friend.
My AI friend. I think, you have to be in your flop era before you can be in your...
Yes, that's what the trial and error.
In your shine era. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, making mistakes is key.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it takes time. It's... In that article, we did an episode about with the Mr. Porter one, the how to build a sustainable wardrobe. I think they said it takes 5, or you should, spend maybe 5 to 7 years on curating your wardrobe and building your wardrobe.
And I think that checks. That checks out. That's for sure. That's definitely what it took for me, I'd say.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think also when I look back at my early YouTube days and then compared to now, which is about 7 years probably now, it makes sense that it takes time.
Yeah.
Can we talk about those wardrobe checklists for a minute? Because part of me is like, throw that shit out the window, forget it, your staples. But at the same time, like, I think I feel like there is some validity. This is going to be controversial. I think there is a core base foundation that, quote unquote, everybody needs. But the caveat to that is, what's your version of it? Because if you think about it, like, unless you're getting into something that's couture and really sculptural and out there, a t-shirt is a t-shirt. But it's like, what's the cut of the t-shirt? What's the color of the t-shirt? What's the neckline of the t-shirt? What's the graphic? Is it graphic or not?
Material.
Material. Yeah. And, button down shirt. Maybe you don't wear the classic Oxford button up. Maybe yours is like a Peter Pan collar or a blouse or a peasant top. So like, what's your version of those 10-ish staples? And what does that look like for you? And then, you know, and then edit and audit from there. Maybe you absolutely hate any and all version of denim, then maybe denim's not for you. But, you know, maybe your version is like a denim skirt then, or a pair of shorts, or like, so that's kind of what I'm getting at is like, you know, if you're starting from scratch, maybe that checklist is helpful, but not necessarily copying and pasting it. And I think if you want to go try those things, then at that point, that's when we can try at our, you know, based on availability and proximity and all that kind of thing. Like if you have access to a mall or a thrift store, then, you know, go try those things on for size. And then that's when that whole self-trust and trying things out and letting things flop, or, you know, basically like trial and error and iterating as you go. I think that's when you start to discover what you like and what your version of that staple is. You know, I don't think everybody needs a little black dress, and maybe you don't need a dress at all. For a long time, I didn't want to wear a dress, but, you know, I did find like a maxi, I did find like a maxi skirt. So maybe that's a version. Yeah. So it's just, I think, take that as your basis maybe, and then
find your own.
Then customize it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's a good point.
I totally agree. I think I did. It's funny. Yeah. I've done a video about that where it was like, take the universal pieces, but figure out like what it looks like to you. So if it's not a blazer, maybe it's a bomber, maybe it's a denim jacket. I think, that's genius.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to like utilize those lists in a way that will actually be helpful.
Because like everyone's going to need a jacket, or, you know, I think I don't want to like generalize it, but I think a lot of, you know, a trench coat, for example, I think is a great staple for any closet. And if you were missing a trench coat, I might recommend it, you know, but there's so many different iterations of a trench coat, so many different colors, shapes, sculptures. Yeah. Again, it's almost kind of like finding your basics, but they don't necessarily have to be basic. Yeah. They can be versions of whatever you want your style to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Great. So I think that's a really good place to end. We hope that you found this helpful if you are seeking out your fail-safes, or if maybe you already know them. And if you do, pop them in the comments below. Share. It's always good to share the wisdom, share how you're feeling, share what you're thinking. And we always love to read them and hear what you have to say. Give the channel a subscribe if you haven't already. Do like and share and follow, or you know, give us a rating if you're listening to us. All of that stuff helps continue to make this content, which we love to do for you. So thank you for joining, and we'll see you in the next one. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Thank you so much for joining in our conversation this week. If you're enjoying the show, we'd love it if you subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple and leave us a rating and review. It's one of the best ways to support the Sustain This podcast at zero cost to you.
We're also a community-led podcast, so if you have any questions for us, topic requests, or even guests you want to hear from, please send us a DM on Instagram at sustainthis_podcast. We read all of our comments and look forward to hearing from you.
We hope you join us again next Tuesday, where we'll talk about so much more than clothes. Ciao!